All right. Podcast mode. For those who are watching the podcast, who am I? Who am I? Wrong. Karl Malone. Oh, I make myself laugh. All right. All right. Appreciate everybody at Pivot Socks. Go to getpivot.com. That's GETPYVOT.com. Use the promo code SneakThisPodcast. Get yourself a little discount and free shipping. Like I said, summer is heading off. You're going to get your shorts right. You're going to get yourself some ankle socks. Get yourself some no-shows. Even some that go up a little bit higher than ankle socks. I wouldn't recommend it, but it depends on what you're rocking. Hit the website that you see on the screen. Or if you're listening in your vehicle, it's GETPYVOT.com. That's getpivot.com. Use the promo code SneakThisPodcast. Yo, Sneak This Podcast, episode 330. Obviously still in the closet. Pause or no pause, whatever. Appreciate everybody who likes, subscribe, share this podcast. Appreciate everybody who, sends me DMs, comments, shares, topics, things like that. Like I said, man, the show wouldn't be nothing without all of you, and the show wouldn't be nothing without sneaker culture. Got on my Jordan Paris jersey. Shout out to the homie that sent it to me. I'm not going to say his name, but because he told me not to. But he said, just say shout out to the homie. So shout out to the homie. I appreciate it. It's my first time wearing it. Obviously, this is going to be a more heavy Jordan episode. We got the movie Air that just dropped last night. I'm gonna go see it this weekend. I planned on going tonight, but since I'm podding, I'm not, because usually podcasts are about an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So I don't want to come straight out the podcast, tell the wife I'm going to go watch the Jordan movie and then come home late tonight. You know what I mean? Right now it's about 5:15 here, 5:30 here. But like I said, I'm gonna go watch the movie this weekend, and obviously do a podcast next week. Give an official review of the movie. Like I said, I appreciate those who've already watched it. I've seen some super duper highs about the movie. We'll see. Like I said, 2 episodes ago, the movie's not for sneakerheads. It needs the sneakerhead stamp of approval, but the movie is for the average Joe. Let me write that down. I think I'm gonna put that down as one of the topics. Because I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, and shout out to the homie Ruby. She sent me, from Powell Man. I guess he was asked if it'll be a spike in Jordan sales or something like that. He said no, but I disagree. So let me find somewhere to put. Let's put that topic right after leather reimagined 4s. Do 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 do. Pull out your Jordans and go to the movies, yeah. All right. Pickups this week. Hold on. I want to give a special shout out to the homie Josh and his beautiful fiance Nicole. Super duper homies, man. It was like we known each other for years, you know what I mean? And, I appreciate those who come in town and, I'm able to make time and we can hang out. And, I appreciate those who come in town on vacation and, they make time, to kick it with me. I'm just, a weirdo that do a sneaker podcast, but, that's my dog, man. And, we had a lot of fun. I drunk way too much. I really didn't even realize I drunk that much, but oh my gosh, that next day I was cooked. But my wife made time out of her busy schedule and we got together, and it's not easy, essentially we're strangers, you know what I mean? Even though I've known Josh through Instagram for a really, really long time, just based off the podcast. We talk pretty much almost every single day, at least about something. If it's not sending a funny video or sneakers or anything, but that's the homie. He got to hit up a few spots out here, pick and roll kicks and Manor, and he got to hit up see what Arizona has to offer, which is not a lot, but, he made his rounds, as best he could, But, man, shout out to him. We'll be out in California probably Thanksgiving. I think we're doing Thanksgiving in San Francisco this year. So, we got plans to hit up a Warriors game, if the Warriors are in town playing on Thanksgiving. So, like I said, man, I appreciate him. He treated us to dinner. Me and the wife had already planned on treating them, but then he treated us, and I appreciate that, man. That's the homie, man. And that's a real cat, That's one of the realest cats I've met on social media, and there's a lot of real ones I've met, but that's the super duper homie, man. So I really appreciate him, and his fiance, coming in town. You know what I mean? Pickups. I got nothing. I've bought a bunch of soccer cleats for my son. Bought him one pair. He wanted the laceless pair, even though he picked the pair with the laces. And then there's some type of Nike Phantom Speed somebody's. I don't know. Then he didn't want the black pair. He didn't want the black pair. He wanted the white pair. And he also wanted the laceless pair. So then I said, fine, we'll send the black pair back. And I said, here's the phone. Go ahead and pick the pair you want. Of course, he picks the white pair with laces. Then last night he said, when is this cleats coming? And I said, I don't know, let's look. And I showed him and he said, these got laces. And I said, because you picked that. Anyways, kid stuff. I'm just talking. I'm a father. For those who are fathers, you know how it goes. So I found a pair, last pair in the entire state, according to Dick's Sporting Goods website. Went over to Scottsdale, picked them up, did the pay online, order pickup thing, super duper easy process. Shout out to Dick's Sporting Goods. And got him a pair that had phantom lacing. So it has laces, but the laces are covered. I typically don't like things like that because, if something happens to the laces or they get unevened, you really can't take them out. But, he gets new cleats probably every 3-4 months for soccer. So, but shout out to Dick's Sporting Goods, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, that was a very easy transaction. I've done some online pay and pick up things and it was whack, but it was pretty darn efficient. Other pickups, I think that's it. I grabbed a hat from Mano when Josh was in town. Grabbed a fitted hat. I was going to wear it today, but, I didn't want to, so I didn't. What else? I feel like I copped something, but I don't know. I do got an unboxing today. I don't know. I feel like I bought something, but maybe I didn't. I don't know. It's been a super duper busy week. Had a lot of soccer and stuff for my daughter and birthday parties and things like that. If you're a father or a mother and you listen to this podcast, you know how it goes. Appreciate everybody messaging me this week. I had probably a little bit more unusual amount of messages. Like we usually get a lot of messages that come into the Instagram account, but this week had a whole lot, and there's been a lot of things that have been popping up, you know what I mean? So I'll probably talk about some of those things that were sent to me. But like I said, man, today is going to be a Jordan heavy episode, Jordan movie coming out, and then also with, the Tatums coming out this week. Made me think back to Jordan Brand back in the 90s. Some of you guys weren't outside yet, you know what I mean? But, I like thinking about those sneakers, and I think I talked about it on episode 228 or 229. We don't give Jordan Brand, even though it's a branch of Nike, we understand that, we don't give the Jordan Brand enough credit for his originalities on all of its sneakers, including its signature line. Like, there has never been any Jordan signature line, and there's never been any other Jordan models that I thought they looked like other brand sneakers. There are plenty of sneakers within their own brand where they take notes, some from their retro line. But I decided I'm gonna do top 10 Jordan brand sneakers from the past. And excluding retros. So there won't be no Jordan 1 through 14, 1 through 30, 1 through 23, whatever number we're on in Jordan signature models. We're doing strictly Jordan brand models from other Jordan brand athletes who has signature models or any of the other extended, GR, whatever you want to call them, the other Jordan brand models. So I'm going to be doing that for the top 10 today. I made my list. I felt good being able to make that list off the top of my head, that I could remember the names of them, and I could remember things about them and why I loved them. You know what I mean? So can't wait to do that at the very end of the podcast. Unboxing. So since this is a heavy Jordan episode, sorry, I'm getting a lot of emails right now while from work while podding. Since this is a Jordan heavy episode, I was like, and I might have already unboxed this. I don't know. I wanted to try to find some DS, and I wanted to find a Jordan 1 that's DS, but I wanted to find something different. So, I'm pretty confident I've unboxed this on this podcast before, but hey, we got a lot of new listeners. We got a lot of listeners who are just coming back to the show. So I have right here, get this box up. This is a Jordan 1 High strap. I don't know if you can see the box. I'm not sure if this is the correct box these came in, the black and white Jordan box. I'm not sure. I don't know if you can see the label or the name of it. I'm not sure if this is the right box or if this was just like, they ran out of the other boxes and put in this. I don't remember, but I got these. So we had a store in town that was called High Point. It was in Scottsdale, and it was owned by Adrian Wilson, who is now, part of the management team for the Arizona Cardinals. But, he was a safety for the Cardinals for most of his career. And I think he even had a little tiny stint with the Patriots, I can't remember. But he had his own sneaker shop out here, which flourished for a while. It got Yeezy 2s, Yeezy 1s. They used to get a lot of those things. But, this was that era where, you get 20 pairs and you give, 13 to your homies. You could have a line wrapped around the building and still, without conscious, sell 4 pairs. Crazy times. But you charge it to the game, you know what I mean? But they used to have a lot of these sales, right? So they used to have a lot of these sales where it was buy one, get one free. They used to get a ton of sneakers. They had everything. They, and since he was, a Nike athlete, whatever the case may be, High Point never, at least from what I remember, and maybe I just got, plugged into the store later than everybody else, but it always had Jordan and Nikes and things like that right off the bat. Always had it right off the bat. Vans, other brands, like it always had what you was looking for, release items. But they used to have an overabundance of everything, you know what I mean? So they would do these like once a year, typically at the end of the year or the end of summer, where it was like a buy one, get one free or buy two, get one free. And like me and George and Ryan Simple, we used to go in there and go ham. I used to go in there and buy up everything. There are some things that we bought in there just because we thought, it's all right. You know what I mean? But them joints was, them little sales was nice, They was especially nice because they always had me and Ryan size. Like, it was like everything that they had on sale was like a 9, 9.5, 10. Every single thing. A lot of times nowadays when stuff goes on sale, they got like a lot of smaller sizes left or like gigantic sizes left. Usually that mid-range is usually gone. But let me unbox these real quick so I can get on with the show. When I saw these, Jordan 1s were like starting to really pick up. They still weren't like the must-have, must-needs, but people were definitely copping and picking up. When I saw these, I was like, man, I haven't seen these in a really long time. And I originally bought them thinking that I could resell them because you just don't see these that often. So I'll open off real quick. So they're navy blue and canvas. So I'm a huge fan of AJKOs, which I've talked about on this podcast before. The one thing about these were it was canvas like an AJKO, but it didn't have that puffiness, that really thick feeling like most other AJKOs. My other AJKOs, like they feel like they're full of skateboard Nike SB padding, like they're thick. Now, the one thing why I bought these, like I said, was because I was like, ooh, Jordan 1s are picking up. I may be able to resell these, right? Hey, I'm from that era. You know what I mean? And I'm from the era where you resold something so you could get yourself what you really wanted. When did these come out? I have never tried these on. These are DS. I have never put my foot in these. I don't even see a year tag on these. Oh, well, somebody would tell me who's listening. And I said to myself, okay, cool. If which was typically me, George was really good about buying stuff and actually selling it. I was really good at buying something, saying I'm selling it, and keeping it. I just hate it. I wasn't a fan of reselling. Not the act of reselling. I just wanted to have everything. Like, I liked the way it looked in the closet, and I just wanted to be able to say I had everything, pretty much. But I said to myself, cool, if I can't sell these or I end up not wanting to sell these, the strap comes off. They came out with this colorway. There was a black, white, and red colorway. I think a Lakers colorway. And I feel that there was one more. I want to say it was one that had like basketball leather, like the actual leather of a basketball on it, and it had a strap, but I can't remember. But I think those were the only two that had this strap. The best part about these, I said, all right, cool. I can't sell these or whatnot. Whatever. I'll remove the strap because I hated the strap. Nobody wanted a Jordan 1 with a strap. All right. I know there's somebody going to say, yo, Jordan had a pair with a strap. I don't care. Okay. Nobody wants a Jordan 1 with a strap. I was like, cool, I could remove the strap on these. You know, it got the wings on the side. You know, it's not the embossed, but it's like, looks like screen printed on, ironed on. Super duper quality canvas. I mean, I don't know if there's a such thing as bad canvas. It had that Jordan Jumpman with the air under it. That was on Chicago's too when they had released whatever the last time they released before Lost and Founds. But you know, had the Jumpman in the back, you know, the traditional OG sole. And the midsole was whitish, but I think mine might have turned yellow. I don't remember this coming yellowish, but, you know, I always like these a lot. You know, I think these are dope. It's a pair you don't see often. I can't remember the last time I seen anybody wearing these. I'm not even sure if, you know, I mean, I'm assuming they're on StockX and GOAT, maybe. StockX and GOAT, maybe, but I don't know. But it's good to have these. Like, I like these. I thought about these, too, when I had the podcast last week, and I talked about navy blue not really being a sneaker that I go to, that I gravitate towards. The only navy blue sneakers I like, and I thought about this, too, was the original Ultra Boost 1.0, the navy joints, and then, obviously, the OG Vapor Max. Navy joints, and maybe like one or other two, some Emmitt Smiths, you know, some Shaqs, whatever. But this is another navy sneaker that I own, probably the one of 5, 6 maybe. I like these a lot. I like the raw edges on the swoosh right there. The red laces. I don't think these came, let me see. I don't think these came with an extra set of laces. There's the other strap right there. Yeah, I don't see another set of laces, but I think if I ever ended up wearing these, I'd probably switch the red laces out for maybe white. I just want that contrast better. I like the red on the sole, which is cool, but I don't think it needs the red up top. But shout out to High Point, even though it's out of business for these. You know, High Point hired some low character employees. That's how I'll put it. So they were no good for the business. Let me tell you something. If y'all got businesses out there, make sure your employees you can legit trust, which typically you can't trust anybody. So start your own business at your own risk. I'm just joking. Let's do releases. Like I said, if you come to this podcast to get your release information, you're already screwed. This information is subject to change and could be based off European releases, could have already released, or the release date may have changed. I have no idea, but we always get this information off the GOAT app. Shout out to my big bro, George. You know, obviously we're still not in the studio, but I'm thinking about something. Maybe 1, maybe 2 episodes a month in studio and 2 in the closet. I don't know. I will tell you guys, I do feel a little bit more motivated to keep the podcast going. You know, every week I'm like, maybe I won't record this week. And then I do anyways. So, I won't talk about what came out today. So it looks like a lot of stuff came out today. All right. So tomorrow, actually, no, I'm going to save that for last because I'm going to talk about Jordan Brand a bit. So we got tomorrow looks like a, Curry 10 unicorn and butterflies. It got unicorn and butterflies on it. I'm assuming that's probably something with his daughters or something like that. I don't know why they make them in men's sizes, but bless up. We got the Foamposite Penny PE. This is the Penny Foam Posit one. This was one that like Penny had wore in the game or during the playoffs. I can't remember. And they were white foam posits. And back then, you saw a different color foam posit. It was like, ooh. They never came out. I don't think there was like a Shooting Stars pack or something like that had a white foam in it, and it had a Penny 6 in it, 7. I don't know. It had one of the newer, maybe the last version of like the Penny signature line in it, and it had the foam posit, and I can't remember what it's called. I don't even know if it came with this white foam. I think it came with an all black foam or a foam with stars on it. I can't remember, but if you're a foam posit fan, this is probably one that you should own. Honestly, that's too much white on a sneaker for me. That huge. But buy at your own risk. We got Shane Gonzalez times Vans, Star Spangled Glamour. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a sucker for Vans. I like these a lot. Looks like there's a pack. Looks like there's a slip-on, an old school, and a skate high. The slip-on and the skate high, but I do like the old school. We got doesn't look a lot this week. I know you guys have seen these a few times. The Jordan 1 Retro High OG Skyline. It's like the Jordan 1 where it's gradiated, and like each shoe was like a different gradient. So it's like one shoe was like starting from the front, like blue to orangish pink, and then the other shoe was like from the back, blue to orangish pink to the front. I had seen these a long time ago, before that they even hit the streets. I didn't like them then. I don't like it now. I understand the concept. I think it's like the Chicago sunset over the skyline. The box is fire. But the shoe itself, they look like a girl shoe, but, I ain't mad at anybody who cop them. Also, it looks like a Jordan 2 low is dropping. It looks like a women's, but it's called Seersucker. It's a Jordan Low 2 Craft. I think the Craft ones, it doesn't look like the other Craft versions of the Jordan line. It doesn't look like many other materials, but it looks like it definitely look like it has like pinstripes, like a seersucker suit, and it may have texture to it. If you know what a seersucker suit is, seersucker pants, you know what I'm talking about. It was like that suit that you had as a little kid. And like really rich people wear them, like, to the Hamptons, and they go, oh, daddy. But it was like light blue with these like white stripes that went down, and you could like sort of scratch it and hear a sound. Like it was like textured. It was like ribbed, like really small ribs. I always hated that suit. I had one as a kid. My mom used to try to make me wear to church. Oh my gosh. It's one of the worst looking suits of all time. Now, if you want to wear seersucker pants with just a plain solid dress shirt, I'm here for it. I may even let you slide with a seersucker blazer and then another solid color pants. I may not be mad at it, all right? But you got to know how to dress to pull something like that off. So these Jordans, the Jordan 2s. We're going to talk about a Jordan 2, too, because, boy, that Jordan 2 with that 3 sole, man, if y'all don't stop, I get it. But if y'all don't stop, looks like a salmon Atmos collaboration is coming out called SXT6 Stars Collide. Look, there's been a few people that send me stuff about salmon and tell me I need to get on it. I don't know why the price to buy one of these on GOAT is $805, but cats swear by salmon brand. Is it Salomon? Oh, Solomon. Sorry, see, I don't even know what it's called. Solomon. I've never tried a pair. I just can't get with shoes that don't got shoelaces, and maybe they come with a pair of shoelaces, but that zip tie type tying your shoe thing, maybe it helps with something, but I'm not a fan of it. What else comes out? Not much this week. There's a Dunk Low Premium. Ooh, these joints is fire. It's the Setsubun. I don't know. I'm not saying that right. Setsubun? Anyways, I don't know what this is. I think these came out last year, I want to say, but I don't think they had officially released. I feel like, there was a few people that I already know who had these, and now they're making their way back. I seen them on sneakers, and I think for some reason they got canceled or held off of sneakers for whatever reason, and now they're re-putting them up or whatever. This joint is already hands down, if we didn't count it last year or the year when it came out or even for it to be nominated, and maybe I could be wrong, maybe it never released, this joint right here is fire. I mean, if we did Dunk of the Year, it would definitely be in the running, but this joint could possibly be in the Nike of the Year. That's how fire this joint is. Shout out to the homie Wilson at Rerun. He had these joints a while ago, and that cat was wearing them. The joints was fire. Obviously, Mischief is dropping that. It's called BWD. Backwards. I don't know, that backwards shoe where the shoe looks. You wear the shoe backwards, so it's built to where you put your foot in the front of the shoe. Look, man. Nobody should judge Mischief stuff. And I'm going to say this again, even when the red boot came out, nobody should judge. This stuff is like toys. They're like they're novelty items. It's like buying a Bear Brick. One of them like Bear Brick statues. Or it's like buying a Funko. It's a little bit way more expensive than a Funko, but it's like buying a Funko. You ain't doing nothing with it. You're not going to play with it. You're not going to do nothing, but it's like, I got one. And it's like a collector's thing. It's people be taking that stuff way too serious, when it comes to Mischief. Like, they don't even take themselves serious, but sneakerheads got, time to write, a thesis on it, like, relax. Looks like we got some more Air Adjust Force coming out. These are a women pair. I'm definitely liking the colorway of this. It has an icy sole with the silver midsole. For those who don't know what Air Adjust are the ones that came out, I think they came out in like 98, 97, 98. We used to talk about them a lot on this podcast before they had retroed. They had the removable straps. Used to go around the entire shoe, East Bay. I remember they would be at an East Bay and you could buy like any color strap to match your team. Like, it had a ton of straps, even like a USA strap. During the Olympics, I think some of the women used to wear them in the Olympics. I think a couple of the NBA players wore them for the USA team during the Olympics. But it's one of those shoes that, like, it held that nostalgia to where you thought you wanted it retroed again, and you didn't. It's just one of those shoes. It's like, we need them back. No, you don't. You don't need them back. It's good to see them, and that's cool. And if you could grab them joints on sale, they had recently dropped like 2 or 3 colorways with here they are right here. Let me see. With Ambush. Not bad pairs. I was cool with the colorways. They had a black pair, a white pair, a like Houston Oilers, University blue colorway, and they had a different black pair that was women's and had gradiated. And they had like a super bright red one. Good Lord, Ambush dropped that many adjusts? Lord have mercy. Look, it's a collaboration, Ambush Adjust, and these joints are on GOAT in my size for $95. So, that's the red pair for $95. The black pair is $161. It's one of those sneakers that retroed and like you realize, oh yeah, I don't need this, but I really like them a lot, but I don't need this. Looks like, some dunks are coming out. I'm not, I right now I can't give dunks any, what do you want to call it? Not shine. I just can't give dunks any run right now. You know what I mean? I got so many DS dunks in this closet that like I legit was like must cops, have to have them. I think about wearing them. Like, I legit go, man, I could wear the UNLVs with this. These be fire. Or I did go to Arizona State University. I should wear the ASU ones. And I just won't. So, like, I can't give any dunks any burn right now. I just can't. They gotta be, SB dunks. All right, cool. You know what? I'm really thinking about SB dunks. I know I just talked about that other dunk, the Setsubun, whatever it's called, but it gotta really stand out for me to give it any burn right now. There's another couple pairs of moccasins coming out from Undercover. I may have already reached too deep into the calendar. Let me see. What's the date today? Today's the 6th. Yeah, I went too deep into the calendar. So they ended with the. Oh, actually. Oh, yeah, man, I went way too deep. Yeah, it's fine. I went into next week, which is fine because I usually record after this stuff drops anyway. So I'll keep going. There's like a spring mix, Air Force One, and a spring mix, Air Max One. Um, I'm assuming this is like their Easter pack. They're not calling it Easter pack. They're calling it spring mix, which is fine. Typically, when I think of spring mix, I think of like the salad, the pre-made salad that you pour the dressing in and you shake it up real fast and you put it in your bowl and you feel like you eat really healthy. But there's also another Air Max One coming out, Mica Green. It's fine. I mean, I feel like I've seen that before. Will I stop here? Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'll just go through Thursday since I record on Thursday. Looks like some ACG mountain flies are dropping. I like these shoes a lot. If I was gonna cop anything remotely close to like Solomon's, I would cop these ACGs. That's ACG is my era. That's what I know. And I don't got the guts right now to try a brand that I'm not familiar with. I just don't. And also another colorway in the clot Cortezes with the slip-on, the Asian-inspired, Japanese-inspired, or I'm saying Japanese, I could be wrong. Inspired slip-ons, you slip the shoe out, slip the shoe in. So it's like having two shoes in one, but this is like the Forrest Gump, colorway version of it. So I kind of like those a lot. I actually like that model a whole lot. And I'm going to just say the Jordan 1 OG Lucky Greens. I think there was a shock drop or some type of exclusive access on sneakers for these. But, them joints release. So, anyways, that's it for... Oh, last release. So I wanted to hold that to the end because, like I said, this is going to be a heavy Jordan episode. And, I just kind of wanted to reminisce a little bit about Jordan Brand in the past. So nothing too crazy. But the Jason Tatum 1 drops this week. Let me tell you something. A lot of people ain't giving these joints the respect they really should. All right. When the original pictures came out, cats had opinions on them, whatnot. These joints are fire. Like, I don't care what anybody says. This is one of the better signature sneakers in the last 20 years. And that's no lie. These blow the John Morants out the water. Like, clear out of the water. Like, these joints are super clean. They're very different. I like the different textures of materials. I like the price point. I think the price point is I think it's 120. Yeah, I don't see the price point. Whatever, 120, 140, whatever the case may be. These joints, the outsole, midsole is something different. The different textures. It looks like a sort of a mix of fly knitish with, I mean, the joints are clean. And, it made me think back to, like, a lot of the other stuff that Jordan Brand used to do growing up. When at first, a lot of people don't realize, Jordan Brand separated out of Nike in, like, 96, 97, I believe. And, it's one of those, like, it's still under the Nike umbrella. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, Jordan Brand's out of it. It's like, a lot of companies do that. It's like, it's like Under Armour with Steph Curry. He has his own Steph Curry line. It's not called, they don't call it Under Armour, but it's made by Under Armour. It's like Dodge and Ram. Ram is his own separate entity now, with trucks, but, and same thing with Jordan Brand, when they come out with like numbers of sales and, who did what this year, it's usually broken out like Nike, Jordan Brand, and then so forth. I consider Jordan Brand and Nike under the same thing when you're talking about making dollars, but they are separate. From what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, you listen to this podcast, a little bit more about Nike and Jordan Brand setup, cool. Please educate me. I have no problem being corrected. But it's always been a separate branch, off. Jordan Brand over the last 20 years have had some of the greatest PEs of all time. And I'm talking about on-court PEs, when PEs used to be PEs. I'm a fan of sneakers being player exclusive and we never get them. I like that because the problem is that if you don't make them available, once you see them on the court, so for example, Ray Allen Ray Allen, Derek Anderson, Darius Miles, Quinn Richardson. I'm trying to think of some more. Steven Jackson. I think even Kawhi Leonard had some pretty dope P's at one point. Michael Finley, Jared Jeffries. There were a lot of Jordan Brand athletes who wore, Rip Hamilton, who used to wear fire. I'm talking about, Jordans, 2 through 14, of special team colorways, had their initials on them, had their jersey number, had some team insignia on them. These were, I don't want to say highly coveted, but like back during that era, they were fire. I remember going to dunk exchanges, and I remember going to like sneaker cons. No sneaker cons, just dunk exchanges and any other local events. Sneaker con didn't come out to Arizona till like about 4 years ago, the year before COVID, I think. But there would be people who had tables, particularly one that we knew, Adam West. There'd be people that had tables dedicated to just showing off Jordan PEs, Right now, what's super duper popular is like the college PEs, a lot of the PEs that go to the college teams that are Jordan Brand, your Oklahomas, your Floridas, your Michigans, North Carolina, obviously, Georgetown, Marquette. There's a few other schools that, are under the Jordan Brand umbrella. But back in the day, it was about actual player exclusives. And you could go to tables at these sneaker events and like see a pair of Michael Finley's, or I think even Marshall Faulk had a few pair. You see some Randy Moss PEs. You see Charles Woodson. You would see some of the NFL ones. You would see some of the Turfs. You would see some of the Knicks colorways for Jared Jeffries when he was on the Knicks. You would see some of the Bobcat colorways for Derek Anderson when he was on the Bobcats. Some of the Blazer colorways with Derek Anderson. Some of the Clippers colorways with Quinn Richardson and Darius Miles, during that era. Steven Jackson had some Pacer ones at the time, I believe. I think he had a few Pacer ones. I think he had some Bobcat ones, definitely. That's before the Hornets went back to the Hornets. The Hornets had turned into the Bobcats, and then the Bobcats turned back into the Hornets, a mess. But those sneakers used to be highly coveted. And I remember one year, Finish Line had released a pair of Ray Allen 13s that had the Ray, and the R was him taking a 3-point shot. It had the Ray on the tongue. And I remember George had copped 2 pairs from Finish Line. And this is when you could cop more than one pair on sneaker sites. And I think Finish Line had them. It was a few places that had got them. And they weren't hard cops, I don't think. I didn't try for them, or maybe I didn't try for them. But George had got 2 pairs of those, and, it was crazy. But the one thing about PEs were, and which is why to me, I always feel like a lot of those, like, PEs, those LeBron exclusives, a lot of those should stay that way because they take so long to drop them. They lose that luster that they had. To me, sorry, my nose allergies have been wilding out here. To me, if you have the intent to release a PE, so let's say like a I'm trying to think. Carmelo Anthony PE Orange 11, right? Those exist. They were either orange or they were blue. I can't remember. I remember they had one for Blake Griffin. There was one for Chris Paul. There might have been one for Westbrook. I don't remember. But then there was one for Melo, and it was an orange 11. Once those hit the court, if you have plans to release those eventually, they have to come out within the next 1 to 3 years. Because some of the PEs and colorways are released, like Jordan 13, for instance, right? Jordan 13 for the last probably 3 years have had a super run, like a super run of fire. The problem is that all of those are PEs at one point. You had the Starfish Orange 13, the Lucky Greens. You had the yellow joints. You had, I think, black and purple. Or black and purple's getting ready to come out, or black and yellow. Like you had the CP3 PEs. They were like the New Orleans Hornets teal on the 13. All those have dropped and been super slept on. Like, no one was checking for them. The white and purple ones. Reggie Miller used to have some PEs he used to rock. Like, but they came out, no joke. We're talking some of these PEs anywhere from 13 to 20 years, like, late. Like, these PEs took forever to release. By the time they released, a lot of people lost their, passion for certain Jordan models. The 13, I would probably say, is one of the Jordan models. If I had to make a list of Jordan models, all of Jordan models essentially have kind of like, you're just waiting for an OG or like a super duper fire colorway. But a lot of the Jordan models over the last probably 5 to 8 years have like really dropped off. Jordan 6, to me, still the greatest Jordan of all time, but it's fallen off. Like, nobody is really checking for Jordan 6s like they used to. Jordan 13 is another one. Jordan 8s are another one. Jordan 9s, definitely. And some of these you can argue were never really that coveted in the first place, but people had a lot of respect for them. They still sold out, and people copped, and people wore them. You know what? I'm not going to say 14 yet, but it's on the clock. But even 7s, Jordan 7s, and that's almost all of them. If it's not a 1, if it's not a 3, 4, 5s have taken a super dive, with regards to being one of the top tier ones at one point. Sorry, man. I hate sniffing when I'm on the podcast, but my allergies are stupid. But when they come out too late, it's like I'm not even checking for a Jordan 13 anymore. There have been plenty of releases, George, and I have talked about, like, this week, this Jordan 13, just Jordan 13. I've said these joints are fire and dope. They're just too late. Like, they look really good in hand, but, like, I've lost that feeling for 13s to where I go, ooh, they're finally releasing the Chris Paul colorway 13. Or, ooh, they finally releasing the orange 13 that, Derek Anderson used to rock with the Bobcats. It's things like that happen too late. But, there were a lot of Jordan Brown. Me and the I'm not going to say me and the homies. I mean, the streets were on fire when it came to Jordan Brand from like 97. I'll say from 97 all the way through, I'll say 97 to about 2006. I'll say that. It could be a little bit longer, but I don't know. Where's my notepad? Because I wrote a few down that I had, came to mind. I'm going to put these on the screen too. And for those, like I said, man, who are my age or close to my age, man, you remember all these. And those who are like, weren't outside back then, weren't in the sneakers back then, fam, look them up. Like, if you could find some, you could still find them because they retroed a lot of these. But after they retroed them, people just wasn't checking for them like that. You could find a lot of them that retroed for great prices. eBay, Goat, StockX. Some are a little higher than others, especially the OOG pairs. But there are some other colorways you can explore, and, I check them out. But, the one thing, like, they used to have, like, Eddie Jones, Vin Baker, Derek Anderson used to wear a pair. There were a lot of Jordan athletes that had, ones. And, like, Jordan brand had its own sort of like signature athletes. Mike Bibby. Oh, how could I forget Mike Bibby in the PEs? Mike Bibby PEs. Lord have mercy. They used to go crazy. All right. Mike Bibby had probably some of the craziest PEs. Some of them Keaton colorways, that purple. But there were only so many athletes that got signature sneakers with Jordan brand. And I'm talking about early on. I'm not talking about your Chris Pauls. I think Blake Griffin ended up getting one. I'm not talking about Chris Paul. I will throw Melo in here, But I'm talking Vin Baker, I'm talking Eddie Jones. These were probably the two that their first initial pairs that had came out weren't like necessarily their signature, but it was theirs. The next one was like a better signature effort that was like in line with them, like, you know, their name or had something involved in it. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling. I kind of lost my train of thought. I heard a door open in the house, and you know, but, you know, one of the ones, you know, Eddie Jones, I remember having this pair, the Jordan Jumpman Pro Quick. And also, Jordan back in the day used to, like, be heavy with the Jumpman. All of the Jordans from, like, the Jordan brands used to be called, like, Jordan Jumpman something. The ones that was, like, one of my favorites, and like I said, I'm doing the top 10 Jordan brand sneakers from back in the day, excluding retros, was the Jordan Jumpman Pro Quick. It was like, it was the Eddie Jones, but it wasn't. So you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's like, you know, it wasn't his signature sneaker, but it was like the Eddie Jones. He was the athlete back then who wore it. And this is the era of NBA where it wasn't like now, where you can watch a triple header and see all the players wearing the same sneakers. Like, you can't turn an NBA game on without seeing somebody wearing a Gretsch. Back then, nah. Like, Eddie Jones wore the Pro Quick, and that was it. They came out with some additional colorways later when he went from the Lakers to the Miami Heat. And I think that's it. I think he went from the Lakers to the Heat. I think he had a little stint with the Grizzlies at one point. And maybe Boston, but I think Grizzlies was his last stop. The Pro Quicks were fire. And these were actual basketball sneakers that were legit comfortable. Like, a lot of these sneakers back in the day when Jordan Brand first came out took a lot of notes from the 13. Like, you could look at a lot of these classic Jordan Brand Jumpman sneakers and see hints of Jordan 13 in them. Like, you just could. It wasn't the sole or how the upper looked or how the shape kind of was. They took a lot of hints from that. The Pro Quick the first colorway was like a black, purplish Concord and white. It had the Jordan that went up the tongue, and the tongue went kind of high, but they were low tops, right? You know, a lot of people attribute low tops with Kobe Bryant first. You know, no. Eddie Jones was out there wearing the low tops way before Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was drafted. I think these came out in 97, 96. Kobe Bryant was just a rookie then, but he was with Adidas. And Eddie Jones, the Pro Quick, was the very first low-top basketball sneaker I remember seeing a player play in on a consistent basis. To me, period. I could be wrong. There could have been others. I don't know. But Eddie Jones Pro Quick, fire. I don't have a pair. I think I have an OG pair that's beat, but the sole came off. So, like, I don't know if I really count those. Like, they're super duper beat. Like, they're almost unrecognizable. They're so beat. But that's one of my favorite. Also, there was, and you know what? Let me preface this because I'm not going to put this one on the screen. Maybe when I do my top 10, I'll include it. But Vin Baker was like his very first pair that wasn't his signature. I'll put it on the screen. It's here. Boop. His very first pair that wasn't his signature, but his sneaker was the Jordan Jumpman Pro Strong. So Eddie Jones was the quick and Vin Baker was the strong. Now, these are two NBA players who were really, really good. Eddie Jones was probably had a better career than Vin Baker. Vin Baker was part of the Olympic team and had like a few great years in the NBA with the Milwaukee Bucks, and I even think with the Seattle Supersonics at one point. I think probably his best years was probably with the Supersonics, which got Jordan Brand's attention, in which, you know, that first nigga became his. So, like, it was like Eddie Jones was the quick, Vin Baker was the strong. But those two, and especially the Pro Strong, it looks almost it's pretty much a different version of a Jordan 13. I think when they retroed them again, and I think they retroed them a few times, I think they didn't really get the respect they should have, because by that time, people were like, wait a minute, these look like, well, the newer generation of sneakerheads, they only know Jordan 13s. They didn't know these. So they're like, hey, I'm not buying these Jordan 13 lookalikes. To them, a Pro Strong was like, oh, it's like a different version of a 13. They don't realize that Pro Strong has a history. And that's, those, the Eddie Jones Pro Quick and that Pro Strong, one of my two favorites. Maybe think of the Roy Jones sneaker. Now, let me tell you this, right? So Jordan Brand actually released 2 boxing sneakers, right? Boxing-ish. So there was like this Jordan one that was like more of a wrestling sneaker, but I think it was considered a Roy Jones trainer sneaker. I don't remember, but I do remember a few cats in high school used to wrestle in them. And then there was the actual boxing Roy Jones sneaker, like an actual boxing boot. I feel like they didn't release, but I also feel like I remember them in East Bay Magazine. It was a really high boot that had like really thick rubber on the outsole. Them joints were fire. I remember like my homie said was a huge Roy Jones fan. He had bought the other version that was more like a wrestling shoe. But I remember he wanted the boxing version, and I think maybe eventually he ended up buying it as a collector's item because they had a huge box. But I also remember his stuff being stolen, so I don't know. But there was a trainer, right? It was called Trunner. It was a Jordan brand. It was Jordan Jumpman Trunner LX. It was a low top. Again, Jordan Brand did some really good stuff with low tops. It was a low top Trunner that it was half black, half red, had a Velcro strap across and a Velcro strap around the heel and a metal tab on the back heel, right? The red in the back was all suede, right? And the front was like a woven material. I had to have those. Any colorway that dropped in that sneaker, I bought them all right? During that block of time. It was like 3 at the time. And eventually like some more ended up coming out. And I think like there's even some that you could even still maybe catch on regular store websites. If you just go to your Google, type in Jordan Trunner LX, you'll find them in many colorways. I even think they came out with a collaboration pair like probably in the last 4 years maybe. Man, what store was that? Was it Soulfly? Maybe Soulfly has a collaboration pair or Trophy Room. Somebody has a Trunner pair. Oh my gosh, the streets went crazy for these. At least the streets that I was on. I don't know about your state. I don't know about it. But these joints had that red suede in the back. You used to slide your foot in it, put the Velcro straps, and the metal piece was like woven into the back of the shoe. You used to squeeze it, and it would squeeze the back of your Achilles, like the back of your ankle, and hold your foot in there. And it was like this woven material. Oh my gosh, them joints were fire. Them joints in the summertime went crazy, all right? Cats, we used to run in them joints in PE. We used to wear them joints casual. Them joints were legit fire. I have a pair right now, but it's not the black and red pair. It was a gradient gray, sort of like Michigan colors, but it was gray and it was yellow and navy blue gradient. Almost looked a little purplish. I had bought those before the OG black and red colorway because I had missed out on those at first. I could never find my size. And then Foot Action used to get these exclusive pairs every once in a while. Like Foot Action used to have like Rodman exclusive, like Air Shake, where it was like they only had these 2 colorways. No other store had them. And I think this gray gradient yellow navy colorway was a Foot Action exclusive. I ended up buying that there, sort of like, I don't want to say a consolation prize, but it was like, I'm going to buy these. And I eventually ended up getting the black and red pair, but I'm talking fire. And then there was another Vin Baker, right? Now, this was the Vin Baker model that was I will call this his signature. It was called the Jordan Jumpman Vindicate, right? Vin Baker Vindicate. It was in there. This was what he wore when he was on the Seattle Supersonics. It had hints. I don't want to say hints. Sorry, my Google heard me talking and went off. It had hints of a Jordan 12 and a Jordan 13 sort of. I would probably say more the Jordan 12, but it was split in half And it was like a mid to high sneaker. I mean, me and the homie Mike Mason, shout out to homie Mike Mason. We all had them. And I remember his brother Dre used to wear his pair. Like, we all had to cop these. Mike Mason had them first. Like, so let me just put that out there. I hope you're watching the pod. Shout out to him. I know I seen him comment the other week on another episode. But Mike Mason had the Vindicates first at South Mountain. He was the very first pair with them. I had got them a little bit later. It may have been a few other cats that had got him in between there, but he had him first, right? Joints was fire. It was a dark green spruce, like a dark green forest green in the back half of the shoe, all suede. And let me tell you something, back then, you didn't question quality. You didn't get quality. There was no Jordan brand back then that had bad quality, okay? Zero. Genuine leather, genuine suede, quality. Most of those sneakers you can still wear today. Facts. So if you find a pair that's used to beat up, cop it. You can still wear it today. May need a little bit of glue, but it ain't cracked. These Jordans on the court, Vin Baker in the low post, the front half was white and the back half was that dark green. Almost looked black, but it was for the forest green Seattle Supersonic jerseys. It was like the Jordan 12 on the court. Like the taxi, you could see the black, but the white was so white, it looked like just black. It's hard to explain, but this is how we used to, check sneakers out first. We used to watch NBA games and go, oh, what is he wearing? Yo. And then we was doing everything in our power to try to get a better view of it. Slam magazines, the back of Slam magazines, Double XL, Vibes, Source magazines. We was trying to get a glimpse of this stuff back then, right? These joints was fire. Mike Mason, like I said, had the pair first. I ended up getting a pair eventually down the road. I was a point guard, you know what I mean? So, like, it really wasn't a sneaker for me, but them joints are legit fire. And if them joints retro, I would think about it. It's a basketball sneaker, and I ain't rocking basketball sneaker, but I would think about it. The one part that was my favorite part about the Vindicates was the sole. The sole was thin. It was mostly leather and suede in the back. The sole was thin. It ain't like these soles now on sneaker. They are chunky and thick and got all these waves and things in them. And nothing wrong with some of those, because the Jason Tatums, I love that sole on it and how it comes up to the side of the shoe on the outsole. I do appreciate that. But like back in the day, it was basic. It was basic, clean design. When it came to Jordan Brand back then, you couldn't look at a Jordan Brand sneaker back then and think like, oh, this looks like another Nike. See, today, when they come out with signature lines or like, some of the player, the Jordan athletes wear, the ones that they wear, the Nike athletes wear, you'll go, them look like Kyrie's, those look like Kobe's, those look like Giannis's, those look like KD's. Back in the day, you didn't pick up a Jordan Pro Quick or a Jordan Pro Strong or a Jordan Vindicate and go, yo, that looks like it wasn't any. This is original times. Another one was, I think I already talked about the Jumpman Pro Quick 6. So this is like Eddie Jones's like signature sneaker. And like I said, the first two were like, these are yours, but, we'll just say how this goes type thing. That's what it felt like. And then the next version were better efforts of a signature sneaker for Eddie Jones and Vin Baker. That's the Pro Quick 6. So it was the Jordan Jumpman Pro Quick was the first one that Eddie Jones wore, and then it was the Jordan Jumpman Pro Quick 6. Dope as well. Low top sneaker as well. Sort of bit of tad mid. It came up a little bit under the ankle. A little bit, level with the ankle or whatnot. But it was another one. Had the hidden lace system. Had like the fighter jet sort of sideburn on the side. It had the up the middle, like from the toe box up to the thing, sort of like a toe box cap. I don't know how to really describe it. The first colorway was like a navy bluish, blue and yellow. Navy bluish, white and yellow. He wore it with the Lakers, I believe. And, it was more navy bluish. If you want to say dark purple, cool, that's fine. But it looked more blue. But it went legit with the Lakers. I mean, them joints on the court were fire. The Pro Quick and the Pro Quick 6 are some of the greatest basketball sneakers of all time if you're a point guard, period. Another one was the Jordan Team 1 and 2. Let me tell you something. You watch college, So let me say this, right? There was a block of time during the NCAA tournament, and the NCAA tournament used to introduce sneakers. Facts. Used to watch the NCAA tournament to see what U of A was wearing, to go see what Kentucky was wearing, go see what Kansas was wearing, because they was wearing some heat. Mike Bibby and Miles Simon, Miles Simon mostly, I mean, they introduced the penny to the public. Period. They introduced the royal blue penny one foamposite to the public before they hit the streets. We couldn't believe somebody was on the court wearing a royal blue sneaker like that. And it was fire, and they were balling out. If y'all don't know Miles Simons, you better recognize. So back, man, I'm talking back the Cincinnati days, you know, when Cincinnati Bearcats was a powerhouse. I'm talking Cal Berkeley, you know. I'm talking about these schools that, like, you know, used to, like, introduce these Jordan Brand models at times. Mainly it was Cincinnati at the time. Cincinnati and I think Cal Berkeley were, like, the first two Jordan Brand schools when they first decided to step into the college scene. I don't even think they were doing... Oh, in Carolina. I think Carolina was too originally. I mean, that may sound stupid to say I think, because that was the college that Jordan went to. But for some reason, I don't remember them, you know... I don't remember. Like, I could be wrong. You know, this is just a podcast, right? But, oh my gosh, the Jordan Team 1 and the Jordan Team 2, oh my goodness. The Team 1 within itself, one of the most comfortable sneakers of all time. George just talked about that sneaker ad nauseum, you know, on early episodes of this podcast. You know, when they retroed, he didn't cop. You know why he didn't cop? Because the materials were lame. I'm talking the materials on these were awful with the retro. But you find the OG version, genuine leather. I'm talking about that Wilson leather jacket. I'm talking about the Fonz leather jacket, that thick leather. Quality leather. I'm talking about cats used to be hooping in these. They weren't going to blow up on you. They weren't going to fall apart on you. People were hooping in these. Then the Jordan Team 2, oh my gosh. I just remember the Team 1 and Team 2, Kenyon Martin catching alley-oops. I just remember them joints going with Cincinnati Bearcats product flawlessly. These two are some of the greatest Jordan Brand sneakers of all time. And anybody who was around during that era wouldn't argue with you. They wouldn't. There was another one. It was called the Jordan Jumpman Pro. Okay? It was just a Pro. It looked like... I'm trying to think what Jordan's insole was similar to. You know, maybe it really wasn't. If you look at it, you'll look at it and say it kind of looks like something, but I can't think right now what I thought it looked like. The first two colorways was a black and purple and a white and purple-ish, navy-ish, whatever you want to call it. The black pair looked more black and purple, but the white pair looked more blue and navy. Fire. I mean, we hooped in a lot of those through high school, through junior high. No, they didn't come out during junior high. Was it out junior high? I know we had them in high school. Nah, maybe high school was when, like, that freshman year, or maybe 8th grade is when I think it was 8th grade when they originally first came out. Genuine leather, fire. Eddie Jones used to wear these a lot as well. These were considered, you know what, honestly, it may have went Jordan Jumpman Pro for Eddie Jones, Jordan Jumpman Pro Quick, then Jordan Jumpman Pro Quick 6, I think. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I remember Eddie Jones used to wear these quite a few times. I think he had a black and red pair when he was on the Miami Heat at one time. I remember this one homie, man, what was his name? He was on the basketball team. He was like black and Dominican or something like that. I mean, black Dominicans are black, you know, contrary to what some of them may believe. But he had a black pair that was suede and had the white on the side and had gold accents. Oh my God, we went ham. All right, we went crazy. We couldn't find them joints anywhere. We had to go all the way to Oakland to find these pair. Rolando? Was that his name? Rolando. I don't remember. He had gap teeth and a flat top. He had a nice jumper though. He used to look like Rashad Lewis. He used to play for Used to play for the Supersonics. Always got hurt. I think he played for the Bullets too at one point. Man, I can't think of his name. But them joints was clean. So that was another one that was one of my favorite. And then there was a Jordan Jumpman Team J. Now, let me tell you something. Jordan used to experiment a lot. You know, a lot of the things that technology and things that we see now and, you know, during that block of time prior, Jordan was trying things. So these sneakers were really unique. They were called Jordan Jumpman Team J's, right? And the first two colorways came out was all white with a teal Jumpman and a black line. And then the other pair was all black with a silver Jumpman and a silver line, you know, like Raider colorways, right? Now, these sneakers were unique. The athlete that I remember wearing these the most were Reggie Miller. And you know Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller, these shoes look like they were made to shoot. And I think that's why they were called Team J, but it was how they were shaped. It was like the back was flat, but the front of the shoe made like a sort of a swoop under. And it had this black line that went all the way from the back or the top, and it went all the way down around the shoe, right? Now, this is what was crazy about the shoe, right? The shoe was leather, okay? Was it leather? Leather. It was leather. I could be wrong, but it was leather. No, it was leather. 100% leather. It was leather because I remember when we had bought them, oh my gosh, they was creasing like crazy. Y'all complain about creases. Now you find yourself a pair of Team J's without a crease. They must be going for about 700 because there can't be a Team J in existence without creases. I remember we had copped those, and they had a lace system, a hidden lace system, but the laces were hidden by the leather strap coming from the outside of the shoe, and it would pull across the shoe. So it covered the shoe like a blanket, and it was this hook. It hooked to another plastic hook. Wasn't a zipper, wasn't magnets, it wasn't nothing, wasn't Velcro. It may have had a little piece of Velcro somewhere, just, you know, for a little bit added security, but you would pull it and you would hook it to this other hook, and that's how you played. Reggie Miller used to be out there wearing them joints, whop, shooting, busting them threes in them joints, and they looked fire on the court. They were not the best looking shoes to wear casual. When we did wear them, we wore them with the, gosh, what do you want to call it? Shroud. I think that's what Jordan was calling stuff like that. We wore it with the shroud cover open. Made it look a little bit better, but that joint used to come kind of pretty far out, so it used to kind of look funky. But back then with our jeans were so baggy, it was perfect. Like, it really didn't matter. So that's another one that's one of my favorites. And then actually, no, I'm not even going to say it yet. The Jordan OG women's. Now, look. At the time, I think this was Jordan's only woman's sneaker made for women. You know, he really didn't put much effort into the name. Okay. You know, I remember, I think Dawn Staley was wearing these at one point. I think I remember Shamika Holsclaw wearing these. She was an Adidas athlete, but I feel like I remember her wearing them. Cheryl Swoops, I seen her a bunch of times there. They may have been considered Cheryl Swoops. I can't remember. There was a couple other Jordan women's sneakers afterwards. I think Cynthia Cooper maybe had rocked them a few times. There were a lot of, you know, women athletes that played basketball that wore these joints. And in the back, it had the Jumpman logo, and it had a W under it, you know. You know, they weren't that subtle back then, you know. I mean, they didn't even give it a real name. They just called it Jordan OG Women's. You know, they tried. Another one that looked, you could see what Jordan it was modeled after. It was modeled after the Jordan 13. It had the same, sort of shroud cover thing, but broken up into different pieces. The sole was pretty much the same, and the shape was pretty much the same. That pointy sole that went up. I mean, if I had to make a top 10, top 20, the highest quality of sneaker ever, it would be in there. if you ever get to see a pair in person, or just go online, just type in Jordan OG women's and just click the picture and look at it. Nothing bad about that sneaker. The USA pair, oh my God. But the OG white, black, and red pair, fam, the quality was stupid on those joints. Now, this was also an era where it was rare. I'm talking stupid rare to see a man wearing the woman's version of a sneaker. The very first time I ever wore the one that was made for women was when the Silver Bullet came out. When the Silver Bullet came out, it came out in two. They were both Silver Bullets, but the men's had the red swoosh, which is typically the OG one, and the women's had a violet swoosh that was outlined in sort of teal, I think, but it was a purple swoosh. I remember I had bought both. And I only bought both for this one reason, right? So I wanted to get the Silver Bullets. I wanted the Dan O'Briens too. The Dan O'Briens were like Nike Air Muscles, I think they were called. But they were boots. And Dan O'Brien was like a decathlon athlete. I think that's the right term for it, where he did like every single event. Like he did all the Olympic events. I think the decathlon is what that's called, I think. But his shoes used to have like 3-4 straps on them. We ended up buying them back in the day, but I don't know what we ended up doing with them. I think we started lifting weights in them or something like that. They were like super duper training sneakers. But I remember I was going to buy the Silver Bullet, the men's one, the reds one. And I remember my friend, when I lived in the Bay Area, I had a lot of Filipino friends. And I remember he had the smallest foot on earth. He couldn't even get the men's. Like the men's used to start at like a certain size. So he had to get the women's pair. And I remember he came to school with the women's pair. I hadn't bought them yet. My dad was going to take me to go get the Silver Bullets, on the weekend or something like that. I remember he had them first at the school, and he came. I'm talking, this is when our pants were so baggy, you couldn't even tell we had feet. That's how baggy they were. And I remember, some of my Filipino homies, the kings of baggy pants. That's no lie. Their pants used to be so baggy that they would pull the pants up and pull a rubber band or a girl scrunchie around the jean, and then let the jean fold over it was like a cake, like baggy, right? I remember when he got him, we had to tell him to lift his pants up because we couldn't see his feet, and he lifted them up, and I saw that purple swoosh, and I was like, huh. Now, this was the era of baggy pants, so you wouldn't be able to really pay that much attention to the swoosh on the Silver Bullet 97. I was like, whatever. So when I went to the store, I was somehow able to convince my dad to buy me the men's version and the women's version. I have no idea how. And at that time, I was in freshman year in high school, so I probably wore a size 7. I don't know what it was, 7.5. I don't know. 8. Who knows back then. But I remember getting that pair, and I was like, these joints is crazy. Jordan Brand came up with that women's pair. Them joints were fire. And I remember this girl, Shannon Brantley. I think she had a pair. This one girl, Onita, she had a pair. I remember like a few of the ladies who used to play on our basketball team in high school had a pair. Them joints were super duper clean. I don't remember any men getting them, no. I don't remember any men having guts to get them. I just don't. And I don't know if it was that they didn't have guts, they just didn't make our sizes back then. I can't remember when they started making the extended sizes where they reached all the way up. Ooh, excuse me, that was weird. Where they reached all the way up to size, typically right now most women's sneakers go up to at least a size 10, 11 maybe. But I think back then, they stopped at smaller sizes back then. So I don't even know if a lot of men had that opportunity. I think maybe some of my Filipino homies did who had small feet, had a couple pairs. I think maybe even the same cat that had that Silver Bullet women's 97 did. I don't remember, but clean. And like I said, I'm doing top 10 Jordan Brand sneakers, excluding Jordan Retros from back in the day when I grew up. I'm not including none of the newer ones you see right now. I'm not including some of the stuff Jordan Brand has released as of late. The stuff that Jordan Brand releases now, it's super duper hit or miss. Jordan Brand is so focused on retros right now that I think they've kind of slacked off on their more general release Jordan Brand models. They're doing a great job with the signature ones, the Zions, the the Jason Tatums, the Westbrooks. They're doing great with that. But the other ones that, like, you just go to the store and cop pairs, But that's sort of just a little memory lane thing with the Jordan models, from thinking about back in the day. Obviously the Air movie coming out, already out this week. So, it's got me thinking about Jordans. I wanted to pull a Jordan soccer jersey and wear it, and so appreciate you guys bearing with me. Obviously, I don't know if you want to call it big news or news. And this is sort of another memory lane thing, but Gentry Humphrey, I think that's his name. Look, I'm bad with names. One of the legendary designers, at Nike, was pictured. I got sent the picture at least a good 150 times and tagged in it a bunch of times, and I appreciate it because I probably would have never saw it if somebody didn't send it to me or not. I hadn't been online that much in the last few days, but I appreciate that because, like I said, man, the topics make themselves. Sometimes the listeners and people that send me stuff, you guys make the topics. I may not even be aware of some of this stuff at times, but he was pictured wearing what was a Jordan 2 low with a Jordan 3 sole. Now, these were already talked about a year or a couple years back of the possibility of these being released. I think a lot of people forgot. Like, I remember when they first, talked about doing these. And I remember when they were just like sketches, not sketches, but concepts, renderings, and it was like one of those spring of 2024, 2023, fall, whatever. But I honestly forgot about them. But when I saw that in the buzzer, I was like, oh, you know what? I remember them talking about doing something like this. Here's what's funny, right? And here's the thing about these, right? A lot of people forget that there was that block of time. There was this one time in sneakers where they had made a Jordan 1 bread, black red Jordan 1. I'm calling it bread. I don't give a shite what Jerry Lorenzo say. A bread Jordan 1 they had made with a Jordan 2 sole. It was called the Jordan 1.5. A lot of people don't remember that. And, the Jordan 2 sole is relatively plain. It's obviously a little bit thicker. It's thicker than a Jordan 1 sole, and it's, a little bit more solid, if you will. No visible air, nothing like that on it. So it was sort of like a perfect match with the Jordan 1 model at the time. Now, this was sort of like, there was no reason for it, but there was a reason for the Jordan 1.5. The reasoning for it was, and this was like more of a reasoning with amongst sneakerheads, it was just almost impossible to get a bread one. It was, everybody had failed multiple times, multiple places, whatnot. It was just almost impossible to get a pair. You could have paid that resale price if you wanted to, or bought a super duper beat pair, or you just waited. So that Jordan 1.5 bread sort of gave people the opportunity who just couldn't take it anymore. They needed a bread one. I remember my homie said, shout out to Said, he had a pair. And I remember because he just couldn't get his hands on a pair of bread ones. He just couldn't get his hands on them. So he had bought them joints. They were a little bit bigger. The Jordan 2 sole, it felt like it sort of changed the shape a little bit of the one, and it made them a little bit higher. It gave them a little bit more lift. I didn't buy them back then, and I didn't have a pair of bread ones back then. Yeah, I don't think Bands that came out yet at the outlets. And I remember they weren't bad looking. It just had the Jordan 2 sole on it. There were a lot of us who gave in. Like, you know what? Forget it. I can't get a bread one. I'm just copping these. I don't give a shite. There was a lot of those. And there were a lot of us who were like, nah, I can't do it. Nah, I'll just wait to see if they retro again, the OG version. I'll just wait, you know what I mean? But there were those who did, and copped them immediately. These right here along the lines of the exact same thing. They pretty much are the exact same thing. Here's the thing with this, though. There was a community purpose for the Jordan 1.5. We couldn't get our hands on Bread 1s. There's no purpose for a Jordan 2 with a Jordan 3 sole. A Jordan 2 isn't hard to get. You know, it isn't like the Jordan 2 is really hard to get, so I guess I'm going to have to buy this version of the Jordan 2. That's one. Two, any gripe or complaints or reasoning why somebody doesn't care for the Jordan 2, it was never the sole. I never heard anybody who doesn't like Jordan 2 say they hate the sole. It wasn't the sole. This Jordan 3 sole matches up so perfectly with this Jordan. I mean, it's still a Jordan 2, you know? I don't care what sole you put on it. It's still a Jordan 2. It barely looks like any change. You know what I mean? If I saw somebody walking down the street and I took a glance, I would have thought it was just a traditional Jordan 2 with a Jordan 2 sole. There's just no purpose for it. Now, here's the thing with things like this, though, right? Which I'm a little shocked. Well, who knows what's in the works, right? Who knows what's in the works with these, right? See, what's funny about sneakers like these, right? This Jordan 2 with a Jordan 3 sole. What's funny about these is that a lot of us are looking at these going, no. A lot of us are going, meh, they don't look too bad. But we're still like, no. But you know what's funny with Nike and Jordan Brand? They could easily make us go, I don't know. These is kind of I8. They could easily make us consider these. A lot of it has to do with, you know, how it's marketed, how it's shared with us. Here's the thing about this Gentry Humphrey? Look, I'm bad with names, and maybe I should have wrote it down, but bless him, and I appreciate the work he's done. It may not have been his intention, but these should have never... This goes back to, like, the Jerry Lorenzo Fear of God Adidas sneaker the other week. It was released to us in the palm of a hand of some person. These are released on an old man designer. Sorry, no disrespect. I'm not saying that was his intention, because it doesn't look like, you know, somebody could have took that picture and posted it, you know what I mean, without his knowledge or, you know, whatnot, or they willing to post it for that social media clout to ruin that relationship that they have with him, Andrew. Who knows, right? Either way, our first glimpse of this sneaker is on the foot of a 50, 60-year-old man. That sneaker would, just like the Fear of God Adidas, if that was introduced to the world on the body of Jerry Lorenzo, these right here could have been introduced to the world. That may have been their plan. Like I said, this photo of these may not have been their plan. It's just something that happened. Boy, if you had Jason Tatum wearing these down the tunnel before the game, during the playoffs, stop. Stop it. You would have people going, ooh, them is all right. Jason Tatum knows how to dress. Jason Tatum knows how to make a sneaker look dope. He's not the most, you know, flamboyant, high personality person, especially when it comes, you know, to discussing NBA players, but he knows how to dress. He can make something look dope. That's when that sneaker, and that may have been Jordan Brand and Nike's plans, that's when that sneaker should have been introduced to us. On the foot of Jason Tatum, somebody who was a cool cat for a championship contender who is known for wearing dope gear down the tunnel, which is now the NBA's fashion runway. That's when it should have been introduced. That's one way that could have got a lot of us like, I don't know. They don't look too bad. Maybe these are all right. Another way, you just package it up as a pack. And I don't mean like an actual pack, like two sneakers in one. I mean like a pack, you know. Nike, Jordan comes out with a lot of stuff all the time. Oh, the championship pack, the whatever pack, the Easter pack, the Christmas pack. They come out with packs all the time. I guarantee if they came out with like a championship pack, right? If they came out where the soles were swapped around on each of the 6 sneakers that Jordan won a championship in, I guarantee a lot of us would be like, I don't know, them joints is kind of growing on me. That's a sneakerhead's favorite line. They kind of growing on me. It don't matter how bad the sneaker is, a sneakerhead will look for any reason to cop something, right? I could see people taking these in consideration if it was like the Jordan championship pack. So he won his first championship in a Jordan 6. If they swapped the soles of the 6 and the 7, I think he won the 2nd and the 7s. And then he won the 3rd and the 8s. So if they swapped, the sole of an 8, I think his 4th championship was in... I think the 4th championship was in 11s. Yeah. So if they swapped an 8 sole with an 11 sole, and then I think the next championship was 12s. I think it was 12s. I could be wrong. This is the top of my head. I'm doing a podcast. Relax. Please educate. I'm not looking at my phone. I like to base my knowledge off me being there. I'm old. I could be misremembering. I think the Jordans he won a championship was 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, and 14. I think those were the championship Jordan sneakers, okay? If they swapped the sole of a 12 and a 14, whatever, or swapped any of them with any of them, right? Whatever will look better on each model, you could definitely get sneakerheads to go, I don't know. They're kind of growing on me. Look, do these Jordan 2s with the Jordan 3 soles suck? No. Are there anything that we should be losing our minds over? Absolutely not. Do I feel like anybody who hates on Jordan 2s has the authority to be like, these is better? No, you don't. Because if you're that guy who hates on Jordan 2s, but you think these look better with the Jordan 3 sole, slap yourself in 2/3. What else? Oh, also, news that the Jordan 4 reimagined. Obviously, we have the Lost and Founds that are reimagined. We have the Jordan 3s that recently came out that are reimagined. And the next one, from what I understand, is the Bread 4, Jordan 4 Bread, or Black Red. The OG, black cement. And it's, what is it? It's projected to come out in leather. All right. I think it's been confirmed. I don't know. I find it funny. Like, I'm talking George and I'm not saying Jordan Brett took this from us. George, Ryan, and I talked about this a long time ago. I remember they came out with something. I don't remember what it was. They had retroed something, or they kept retroing something. I don't know. This is episode 330, okay? That's how long this podcast has been going. I told people, and I said, bro, don't be surprised if these OG sneakers start coming out in the same colorways of OG but different materials. Don't be shocked if we see a suede white cement. Don't be shocked if we see a fly knit white cement. Don't be shocked if we see a nubuck white cement. Don't be shocked. Like we had this discussion a long time ago. This leather version of a Bread 4 might be better than the original OG version. I'm just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. The reimagined Jordans are 2 for 2 right now. If you call the Chicago Lost and Found the greatest retro of all time, I would say I agree. If you called the Jordan 3 White Cement the greatest retro of all time, I would agree. This Bread 4, if the leather is thick, could be better than the OG original version of the Bread 4. Let me tell you guys something. The Bread 4 was always nubuck. That nubuck on a Jordan 4 was a pain to keep unscuffed and clean. That's facts. Jordan Bread 4s, to me, have always seemed cheap. Always. Even when they retroed, the last time they retroed them, I talked about it on this podcast ad nauseum. Something was wrong with them. It was something off with that last pair of Bread 4s that retroed. It wasn't just mine. It was a lot of other people who said something was off with theirs. There's facts. Mine were so off, I hate wearing them. That's how off they were. They're so off that I've never worn them with the shorts. I refuse. I have to have a pants on top of them because something is off by them. This leather reimagined Bread 4, if it's true, these come out of leather, will blow the OG version out the water. And I don't care what anybody says. I see people in the comments, no thanks. I see people in the comments, why they gotta ruin a good thing? The white cement is leather. The white cement is leather. And it's, if you said the greatest Jordan of all time, I wouldn't argue with you. A black leather version of the Bread 4 should have been came out. But Jordan Brand, smart. We'll save it. Let me tell you something. Nike and Jordan Brand got a lot of stuff up their sleeve that they have saved. That's facts. And when you have something that is still highly coveted like a Jordan model, you have forever with these. Now, will it garner and maintain the attention of everybody? I don't know. But you legit have forever. Because guess what? You could come out with a suede Bread 4, a suede cement 4, a suede, military 4. Like it's limitless. I am saying it right now on the Sneak This Sneaker podcast. The leather Jordan 4 could be better than the Bread 4 if the leather's good. That's the disclaimer. If the leather is great, it will be better than the OG Black Red 4. I don't care what anybody says. Period. What else? I talked about at the top of the show. I kept seeing a couple people post this, a couple people asking questions, some people just posting out of worry. Obviously, everybody remembers during COVID when the Jordan documentary Last Dance had came out, and it had a special section with regards to Nike and Jordan and the Jordan sneaker, and sort of the history behind the Jordan 1 and how that came about, and all of that. Now this was a time where we're all at home just looking for anything to do. That Last Dance was one of the highlights of the pandemic. I mean, it really was. It was great, and I appreciated them dropping the episodes faster and better than they had originally planned. I've watched the Last Dance documentary at least 2-3 times. It's just good. It's just really good. Prices on Chicago's, anything that was, it didn't matter if it was a Chicago Fat One, a Chicago AJKO, or OG Chicago, a Chicago golf shoe. It didn't matter. If it looked like Chicago, the prices went up, up, up. I see people right now. Oh, great. The market is about to go crazy because of the new Air movie. Oh, great. We ain't going to be able to get our hand. The Jordan 1 price is about to go through the roof. Oh, great. This and that happens. Look. I seen people saying, nah, it won't happen. And I'm talking about sneaker analysts. I think his name is Matt Powell. He said, no, it won't. Here's the thing. I don't think it will go up for the things that we're thinking about. Like, I don't think that movie Air is going to make people go cop Jordan 1s or look for Chicagos or look for Breads. It's going to make some who don't have them, maybe. The prices right now on Chicago, well, Lost and Founds will probably go up a little bit. I think those are still, relatively speaking, reasonable. And I use the word reasonable, lightly. But you know what I think it's going to do? Because like I said at the top of the show, the movie, to me, it's not for sneakerheads. Like, people think that sneakerheads are going to go watch this and then go ham in the streets for copping. I think your regular, average consumer who knows of Nike, knows of Jordan, I think they may go buy a Jordan. Not any of the Jordans that we're buying. They're not going to download the sneakers app and be waiting for the drop. They're not going to hit the notification button, but I think some of those Jordans you see at outlets, I think some of those Jordans that sit on the shelves, at your Finish Lines and Foot Lockers and etc. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of those move a little bit more. I'm not going to say the market's about to flip upside down. I'm not about to say the streets is going ham. And I'm not going to say you about to see these Jordan GRs that have been sitting for years fly off the shelves and sell out. But I think you'll see a noticeable spike in just the Jordan brand. I think the average Joe who goes and watches this movie, appreciates the acting and appreciates the story, will go buy a Jordan t-shirt or, go, when it's time for them to get a new pair of sneakers or, their kids, their little ones, they may buy a Jordan, I don't know. Maybe. I haven't seen the movie yet. I don't know how it's depicted. I know the story to the fullest. Every sneakerhead should already know the story. But, it may be some little added things that we didn't know about. Who knows? But like I said, I do expect to see a lot more of the general release Jordans, sort of hit the block, amongst just your regular citizens. I do. But who knows? You never know. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, okay. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because, and let me just preface this one more time. When it comes to this podcast and every podcast that exists, social media, television, movies, other podcasts, other shows, influencers, personalities online, on social media, just conversations with the homie dictate the topics of this show. Dictate the topics of all shows. So when I was tagged and sent multiple times the episode or the clip from Full Size Run, the Complex show that has Mustache Man, Sneaker Shopping Man, and Welty. I'm sorry, Sneaker Shopping Man isn't on there. Trinidad James. I was sent the clip, and look, this ain't really an important topic, but let me explain something to you about cap culture. Okay, there's a lot of cap, and I know I'm too old to be saying cap. I'm 40. You're lying. When I was younger, I couldn't say lying in the house. I had to say, ooh, you telling stories. That was a rule in my house. You say lying, you say somebody lying, you're getting slapped in the lips. Quick. We're talking quick slap. Ah! What? Who did that? Quick. But I just like using the word cap because it's so ridiculous and it's funny. There's a lot of cap culture out here. Damon John was on an episode of Full Size Run, right? I'm a huge Damon John fan. I bought his book and read it. Yeah, you see what I did there? See, a lot of y'all like to buy books, but y'all don't actually read them. You like to just say, I bought it. You have to actually open them and read them. It's fundamental. I mean, we were all fans of FUBU. We were all fans of the story about FUBU. And I'm a huge fan of him as a businessman, and I've watched him on Shark Tank for X amount of years. I just appreciate him as what looks like from the outside looking in, a good person, someone who's always willing to help and always pass down knowledge and gems. But he was on Full Size Run capping, lying, telling stories. So he was on the show. Now look, there's a 0.5 percentage of this, 0.5, that maybe I just missed this over the last 25 years. Maybe. But I doubt it. He went on Full Size Run and said that they used to, I guess, him during his FUBU times, during, the growth of FUBU, they were paying Nike designers $30,000 to get the color codes for some of the colors that they wanted to use in their brand. Now look, when I say I'm a Damon John fan, I'm a Damon John fan. I have watched multiple interviews from him, multiple interviews with him and other FUBU collaborators. I have watched numerous interviews about the brand FUBU, about how they got started, about the come up, about how much money it made, about it making the decision to be sold in Walmart, about the transition from being hot to not. I have watched multiple interviews by Damon John in discussing FUBU. Numerous. Not one time has he ever, or have I ever, that 0.5% that I may have missed it, have I ever heard that story. It be a lot of capping out here lately, over the past, 10, 15 years. That's facts. We're talking about a brand that was at its highest peak about 23 years ago. At its highest peak. FUBU has been around for about 23 to 25 years, okay? I have never heard that story of them paying Nike designers for color codes. Now, let me tell you something why I consider this super cap, right? He said that they walked away with, and I didn't watch the whole thing, I just saw this clip. He said that's how they got the color burnt orange. Okay. This is for the sneakerheads. What I'm about to say. I am confident in the sneaker community. I am confident if you call yourself a sneakerhead. I am confident if I said, what color would you associate with Nike? I am confident that 100% of you would say infrared. Because I would. I would even let Vault go. Vault. I would say those two. More infrared, but I'll let Vault ride. Vault is an honorable mention. So you mean to tell me you paid Nike designers and you got burnt orange? You didn't ask for infrared. You didn't ask for Volt. You went and got burnt orange. The story is cap. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say, and I am a Damon John fan. This is no shade, but this is a sneaker podcast, and I smell cap. It's like when, after Prince died, I think I saw Pharrell do an interview and say that the beat for Happy was for Prince. Prince is dead now. He can't say he lying. Nothing. That's cap. I don't believe that. Happy had already been out for like 5 years or something before Prince had died. But as soon as he dies, now the beat Happy was originally for Prince. I don't believe it. That's cap. I remember when Michael Jackson died. I remember the game said Michael Jackson was in the studio and talking about he's the greatest rapper ever or something. That's cap. Michael Jordan was never in the game studio. Stop. I think he even said that Michael Jackson was in there throwing up the bees for blood. I think he said Michael Jackson went sue-oop. I honestly do. I'm making that up. But, I feel like he says something along those lines. It's cap. Shout out to Damon John, though. I like him a lot. I got nothing else. I was going to talk about women's basketball with, the whole thing with LSU and, Clark and Iowa and all that, but I've had enough of hearing about it. So, I'm not talking about it. Let's do this top 10 list. Like I said, man, I appreciate everybody who likes, subscribe, share this podcast. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about? It's a short episode. Nah. I had something else about signature sneakers on here, but maybe I'll save that for next week. I don't know. That's if I do an episode next week, which I probably will because I want to talk about the movie Air. I'm doing top 10 Jordan brand sneakers, excluding Jordan Retros 1 through 32, whatever, to me, and I'm doing more Jordan brand from my era. Not the current Jordan brand, but the ones from my era. I have no honorable mentions. All of these I had, except the women's one. The Jordan OG women's is on my list, but I didn't have that one. All of these other ones I did have at some point, or whether it was when they originally came out or a retro version. So here we go. Number 10, I got the Jordan Jumpman Team J. That's the one that I talked about that Reggie Miller wore. I mean, the shoe looked like it was made to shoot jump shots or shoot three-pointers. It just had this specific shape that looked like it rolled perfectly off the court to get up and hit that shot. Like I said, you look up Reggie Miller in Jordan sneakers, you'll find a pair of sneakers of him wearing it. It had to look like a J that went down the side of it in black. Number 9, I got the Jordan Jumpman Pro Quick 6. The Pro Quick 6 was a little bit clunkier than the Pro Quick, but it was the the Eddie Jones sneaker, which I said that Nike Jordan Brand had put a better effort in his signature sneaker. He wore the jersey number 6 when he was a Los Angeles Laker. It was a low profile, low top sneaker, had the hidden lace system. The colorway was dope. I think it had maybe 2-3 colorways when they were released. Enjoy the fire. They're clean. Number 8, I got the Jordan Jumpman Pro Strong. That's the Vin Baker first one that was like not a signature sneaker, but his sneaker. I mean, the quality of it, the materials on it was fire. It was a higher sneaker. It was really high. Like I said, the homie Mike Mason, shout out to him, had that joint first when we was in, no. Wait, did he have Pro Strongs too? Ooh, Mike might have had Pro Strongs and the Vindicates first. Both Vin Bakers first. I think that's why I think he had the Pro Strongs, but he was like, I'm getting the next ones too. I think he had both first. Shout out to Mike. On the on the bottom where the laces tied up, it had a Jordan symbol and it looked like an S. I think that S was like representing of the Sonics. I don't know. I think they'll probably say the S was for strong, but I think it worked out really well for it to be an S and him being on the Supersonics. The shoe was very similar to the Jordan 13 with regards to shape, with regards to the sole, with regards to how it was structured. I think it had a hidden lace system as well. The tongue and all that was all suede. Them joints was fire. Number 7, I got the Jordan Jumpman Team 1. The Team 1, it was like split. It was like the outside was white, the inside was black, and vice versa, I believe. I think that's how it was. The leather was impeccable and one of the most comfortable basketball sneakers of all time. You know, and all of these we used to wear casual. Like, these were casual to us back in the day. But hands down, one of the most comfortable of all time. I had the black white, and I had the North Carolina colorway, the all white with the North Carolina sole on them. Fire. I feel like I had the all black pair too, but I don't remember. Number 6, I got the Jordan Jumpman Team 2. I mean, these joints reminiscent of the Jordan 13 as well. If you look at them, if you Google them, if you see them on the screen, you could say like, oh yeah, I can see the Jordan 13 in these. These joints were fire. It had like a really flat sole, but it had a wavy outsole, and it had Jordan in red letters on the side. If you had the white navy blue pair, it had Jordan white letters or navy letters on the side. I remember Cal Berkeley wearing them, Cincinnati wearing them. Them joints were fire. I remember with them joints, we couldn't wait to get our hands on them joints. The leather quilt up top was premium. And this was when the era when Jordan's logo that I feel like he put on majority of the shoes looked like the Ferrari logo. It was like the Jumpman logo in a diamond sort of shaped thing, and it was like a glass, clear plastic glass or whatnot. Number 6, I'm sorry, that was number 6. Number 5, I got the Jordan Jumpman Trunner LX. That was the one that was tied to Roy Jones. I think Roy Jones was training in them before a fight. Like, I think he was like working out, running, doing stuff in them before like a big fight. And I think that's when we noticed them, more in an ad or something. But they were always tied to Roy Jones Jr., and we couldn't wait to get our hands on them joints. Only a few people got them. Rased had got them. I didn't get my hands on them when they originally dropped. I had to buy like the other colorway down the road, like I told you guys earlier. But I mean, still to this day, great sneaker. Only gripe I have with it now, it just doesn't have laces. Like, I'm just not that slip-on type shoe person right now, unless it's a Salehi Croc or a Van. So, number 4, I got the Jordan Jumpman Pro Quick. That was the first version, hints of the Jordan 13 as well. The first low-top sneaker that a basketball played in regularly that I could remember first. I feel like Eddie Jones was first to wear a low-top basketball sneaker in the NBA, regularly. I really do. I could be wrong, but I think if people really think back, this was before Kobe's. Kobe wasn't even on Nike yet during the Pro Quick era. These had like Zoom Air through them. They were comfortable as well. Like I said, they had hints of the Jordan 13 on them. You can look at them and take a look. Had the Jordan up the tongue with the stripe. Had a tongue. The tongue was kind of high, which I appreciated. I like that. I like a low-top sneaker where the tongue comes up a little bit high. Eddie Jones used to wear them joints all the time. There was a white, purple colorway, and there was other colorways down the road. Fire. One of my favorite sneakers of all time. Then there was the number 3. I got the Jordan Jumpman Pro. It's that one that I described. I want to say it reminds me of a Jordan 12, but it doesn't. But it's something about the Jordan Jumpman Pro you look at, it just reminds you of something. And I can't put my finger on it right now, but I feel like at the time, we were like, these look like this. The shape is a little weird, but it was like the ultimate basketball sneaker. Like, it was perfect for basketball. Like, it just had that perfect support, quality materials, Zoom Air all the way through, carbon fiber on the sole. The joints were clean. My mic is going down. Number 2, I got the Jordan Jumpman Vindicate. It was lower than the first Vin Baker, the Pro Strong, but man, that joint had all that suede in the back, that leather on the front. The toe box was perfect. It had the suede up the tongue, and the sole was like a thin sole. It was thin. I mean, a quality basketball sneaker, and it was fire with the right fit back in the day. Like I said, man, we used to wear these casual. I know we talk about it a lot of times now, like I'm not wearing no basketball sneaker casual, but back then, that was our go-to. That was a fit. You walk into a party with a fresh pair of J's, oh my God, who is he? And look, number 1, I said this in the beginning. If I had to make a top 10, top 20 greatest quality sneakers of all time, the Jordan OG women's would be on my list. The Jordan OG women's quality has never lacked. Even to this day with the retros that they have come out with, all of them high quality, extremely high quality. I've never owned a pair. I wanted to buy the Melanie Asani pair. I did, but they had a cherry on them, and I was like, I don't know about that. Like, they looked for women. Those ones, I could have bought the OG pair when they released. They sat for a minute. They even had like a oatmealish starfish colorway at some point. Look, to me, one of the greatest Jordan brand sneakers of all time. And yes, it's a woman's sneaker, and yes, that joint is fire. And if you a woman and you ain't got a pair, cop a pair. If you a guy and you want a pair, go cop a pair. Got the W in the back for women. Yo, release your masculinity. I got nothing else. Appreciate everybody who likes, subscribe, share this podcast. That's Sneak This. Pow, 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 pow.